There comes a time, children, when the crowd stops clapping, when the voices grow still, and the smiles you once trusted melt like wax in the heat of truth. There comes a time when a man walks into a room not as a husband, not as a brother, not as a son, but simply as a soul. When the laughter leaves your lips, and the wine no longer warms your bones, when the dance floor is empty and the applause is just a memory, you will find, if you are lucky, you still have God.
Oh, yes!
When a man has no one but God, he has more than enough. You see, the world can strip you bare. It can take your title, your job, your reputation. It can lie on your name like mold on bread. It can leave you in the cold, without shoes, without shelter, without even a kind word to cradle your weary head. But if you still got God, then baby, you still got breath. You still got purpose. You still got power. When the world grows quiet, when the music fades and the laughter dies down, a man may find himself standing in the middle of silence with nothing but his own breath and the beat of his heart echoing in the hollow. There, in the midst of nothingness. When the phone stops ringing, when the footsteps no longer march toward him but away, he must come face to face with the truth of his own soul. And if he looks deep enough, if he dares to search past the shadows, he will find that he is not alone. For in the silence, God speaks. In the emptiness, God fills. You see, there's a blessing in being stripped of all distractions. There's power in the stillness that surrounds a man when all human arms have released him, when all the familiar faces have turned away. The world calls it abandonment, but the heavens call it consecration. It is a setting apart, not a casting away. It is not the end of a man, but the beginning of his becoming. There comes a time when the crowd no longer carries you. The cheers die down, the lights dim, and all the eyes that once watched you with admiration now seem to look through you like smoke. And in that very moment, a sacred opportunity arises. An invitation to know God, not through sermons, not through scriptures alone, but through experience. It is when you are left alone that you finally see who has always been there. When the illusion of human dependency crumbles, the foundation of divine intimacy is laid. The heart of a man, once tethered to applause and approval, learns to beat on its own in the stillness. He learns that God doesn't need a stage, nor does he shout from rooftops. God whispers in the quiet places, meets us in the secret chambers, holds us not with hands but with hope. Oh yes, child, when you are alone with God, you are not lacking. You are being filled with a different kind of richness, one that can't be measured in likes or love letters, but in peace, in wisdom, in an unshakable sense of purpose. There's a peculiar strength that rises in a man who walks through the valley with no one to lean on but the Lord, the kind of strength that don't make noise but moves mountains, the kind of faith that's not loud but unbreakable. That man begins to walk not with the swagger of pride, but with the stillness of assurance. He is not looking to be seen, for he has been seen by the only eyes that matter. He is not yearning to be loved, for he has been loved since the beginning of time. In the quiet, God begins to build. He chisels away the false confidence and carves out true humility. He uproots the fear planted by past rejection and sows seeds of courage. He takes the broken pieces left by man and reshapes them into a vessel worthy of divine oil. That man, that lonely man, becomes God's man, not made by the hands of the world, but by the breath of the Almighty. A man alone with God learns patience, not the kind of patience that waits in misery, but the kind that waits in hope. He learns to sit in the darkness with faith that the dawn will come. He learns to walk in silence, trusting that every step is guided. He learns to pray not for company, but for clarity. He learns to say, "Thy will be done," and mean it, not because it sounds holy, because it is the only thing he has left to say. And oh, what beauty blooms in the soil of solitude! It is in that lonely garden that joy sprouts, not the joy that depends on circumstance, but the joy that knows God is present even when nothing else is. That man discovers laughter not from jokes but from grace. He finds music in the sound of his own praise. He finds warmth not from touch but from truth. Now, don't get me wrong. Being alone with God is not without its aches. There are nights when the silence stings. There are days when the echo of your own voice is the only companion. But even in that ache, there is a sacred rhythm, a holy pull that keeps the soul tethered to heaven. And after a while, the ache becomes the altar. The loneliness becomes the lesson. And that man becomes a lantern, lit from within, shining in places others fear to walk. When a man has no one but God, he does not become bitter. No, he becomes better. Better at listening, better at loving, better at forgiving, better at being. He stops chasing empty validation and starts seeking eternal revelation. He lets go of the need to be understood and leans into the joy of being known by the one who crafted his soul. It is not the crowd that defines a man. It is not the woman on his arm or the friends at his table. It is not the job title or the bank account. It is what he holds onto when everything else slips away. And if what he holds is God, then that man is not merely surviving. He is thriving, rooted in something deeper than time and stronger than pain. So if today you find yourself alone, no one calling your name, no one waiting at your door, do not despair. Do not fold under the weight of solitude. Instead, lean into it. Press your ear to the silence and listen for the voice that never leaves. Turn your tears into prayers and your fears into faith. Know that the absence of people is not the absence of purpose. For when a man has no one but God, he holds in his hands the essence of everything he needs. He walks with the Creator. He communes with the King. He is covered, carried, and called by the one who knew him before he was formed. And that, my dear, is more than enough. That is everything. Sometimes life takes everything from a man, not to destroy him, but to reveal to him what cannot be taken. People will come into your life with flowers in their hands and honey on their tongues. They will promise the stars. They will stay for the sunshine. But when the thunder starts to roll, when the winds begin to blow, you will see, clearer than ever, who was standing for you and who was only leaning on you. And when all the hands that once held you fall away like autumn leaves in October, the hand of God will still be there, steady, unmoved, unwavering. Oh, what a holy sight it is to watch a man come to understand that God's presence is greater than human absence. It is a soul-deep knowing. It is a lesson not taught in classrooms or written in books. It is learned in the wilderness, in the valley, in the echo of a room too quiet for comfort. It is when the footsteps of friends fade away, when the laughter grows faint, and the seat beside you stays empty night after night. That is where the truth whispers in. For every person that left without reason, God stood closer. For every time they turned their back, the Lord turned his face toward you. For every no they gave you, God prepared a better eyes that had your name etched in heavenly ink. God does not fill in for the ones who abandoned you. He surpasses them. His presence does not match their touch. It transforms your spirit. His love does not imitate theirs. It ignites something eternal within you. You see, the world teaches us that we need people to be whole, that we need applause to be worthy, that without love letters, friendships, handshakes, and invitations, we are nothing but empty cups waiting to be filled. But the soul knows better. The spirit knows deeper. The man who has walked through fire alone knows that some cups were never meant to be filled by other hands. Some cups, child, are filled by God himself. And that is a sweetness no human can pour. When you have cried into your own hands and no one came running. When you've shouted into the dark and no echo came back, when you've held your own body, shaking from loss, trembling from rejection, aching from betrayal, and no comfort came through the door. Yet still, somehow, you felt a peace, a breath, a warmth inside your chest. That was God. That was His Spirit saying, "You are not alone, not now, not ever." Sometimes the Lord will allow the floor to fall out from under you so you'll finally stop standing on people and start standing on faith. He will quiet the noise so you can hear His whisper. He will dry up every other stream so you will drink only from the well that never runs dry. And when you do, oh, how mighty you'll feel. Not because you have gained the world, but because you have found the one who owns it. People may forget your name, child. They may forget your birthday, your smile, your worth, but God never forgets. While others are writing you off, He is writing your name on the palm of His hand. While they are busy turning the page on you, He is still telling your story. His presence is not seasonal. His love is not situational. His grace is not conditional. It stays. It holds. It lasts. And there is something magnificent, something regal about a man who walks forward without the crowd. A man who steps out into the unknown with no map but faith, no companion but the Spirit. The world may call him a fool, but heaven calls him chosen. And that man, he carries something in his eyes that the world can't explain. A stillness, a knowing, a fire, not born of this world, but born of that divine presence that never leaves, never breaks, never abandons. When a man learns in God's presence, he no longer chases people to stay. He no longer pleads for affection or begs for belonging. He stops performing for acceptance. He walks in a room full of empty seats and feels no lack, because he knows that wherever he is, the Lord is. He knows that his worth is not wrapped in how many friends he has or how many people call his name. His worth is wrapped in the blood of a Savior who called him beloved long before the world gave him a name. That's what God's presence does. It fills up the spaces left hollow by human absence. It binds the wounds left bleeding by careless goodbyes. It builds altars where others left ashes. It brings gardens out of graves. And when you've been held by God, you stop reaching for what doesn't feed you. You stop settling for crumbs when you've tasted heavenly bread. You stop being desperate for love when you've known the lover of your soul. Let them walk away. Let them choose silence over truth. Let them forget. For their absence only made room for God's presence. And that presence, it will carry you when your legs give out. It will speak to you when the world goes mute. It will fight for you when you no longer have the strength to lift your voice. It will be a light in your darkest hours, a balm for your bruised heart, and a guide when your eyes are full of tears. So don't you weep long for the ones who left. Don't you lose yourself trying to chase shadows. Don't bow your head for those who could not see your light. Lift your chin, child. Lift your hands. Because the one who formed the stars also formed you, and He has never walked away. His love is not on trial. His presence is not in question. For the truth is, you were never truly alone, and you never will be. God's presence does not fill a space. It becomes the space. It doesn't just visit, it dwells. And when everyone else is gone, He stays. When the door is closed, He knocks from the inside. And when the room is empty, He fills it with glory. Yes, His presence is greater than their absence. And His love is enough. Always. There are moments in this life, baby, when the fire comes not to destroy you, but to define you. When the winds howl and the rain lashes down upon your roof, and everything you built with your own 2 hands seems to tremble. People will scatter like leaves in a storm. Promises once wrapped in velvet tones will blow away like dust. But you will remain, bent maybe, scared perhaps, but still standing. When a man has walked through abandonment, disappointment, heartbreak, and silence, and still chooses to cling to the hem of God's garment, there in that very choice a new kind of strength is born. Not the kind that shows up in clenched fists or puffed chests. No, this strength is quieter. It hums in the bones and rests in the soul. It's a holy strength, forged not in applause but in affliction, not in celebration but in crushing. Oh, yes. There's something sacred about the man who learns how to stand when all others have walked away. Something unshakable about the soul that has been stripped and still sings. For you see, strength is not only in the muscles of the body, it is in the muscles of the spirit. And the spirit grows strong when it lifts burdens only God can see. Don't you know, a man refined by solitude becomes a fortress. One who has prayed with no response, who has sat with the silence of heaven and still believed, becomes a warrior of faith. One who has known the age of betrayal and still chosen forgiveness, he becomes a cathedral of grace. And when the world looks at him and wonders how he's still breathing, still standing, still hoping, they won't understand. But that's all right. His strength was never meant to be understood. It was meant to be lived. He didn't get strong by accident. No, child. He was chiseled. Every abandonment was a cut, every rejection a carving, every dark night a deeper hollow that heaven filled. That man became a sculpture, shaped not by comfort but by crisis. He doesn't talk much now, not because he has nothing to say, but because he has learned the power of stillness, of listening, of waiting. His silence speaks volumes. There's a strange and beautiful dignity that rises in a man who has been left alone with God and came out gold, not shiny gold that glitters for the world. No, but the kind of gold that holds its value through time, the kind that doesn't rust, doesn't fade, doesn't crack. His laughter is deeper, his eyes wiser. He has walked through fire and come out without the smell of smoke. Oh, the world tried to burn him, tried to melt his purpose, tried to drown his voice in the flood of sorrow. But he rose. And each time he rose stronger. Each time he prayed, he grew wiser. Each time he believed without seeing, he became more powerful. That's the strength of a man forged in isolation. The strength of a soul kept alive by God's whisper alone. You see, this man does not tremble in trials anymore. He doesn't beg storms to pass. He's learned to dance in the rain. He's learned that the thunder is just God rearranging the heavens, that the lightning is just God's way of showing light in the darkness, and the pain. He's stopped running from pain. He's learned that pain is the midwife of purpose. And when people come now, they see something in him they can't name. A peace that doesn't come from pleasure. A joy that doesn't require applause. A confidence that doesn't need confirmation. It's because his spirit has roots now. Roots that run deep into the river of God's presence. Roots that won't snap in a storm or sway in the winds of opinion. Roots that have touched something eternal. This man has stood alone in the hallway of life, waiting for a door that would not open, and still chosen to praise. He has wept in empty rooms and still whispered, "Thank you." He has been misunderstood, misused, and mistaken, and still chosen to walk in love. And because of that he has become immovable, not unfeeling, not unkind, but unbreakable. His strength is the strength of endurance, of resilience, of relentless faith. It is the strength of Daniel in the lion's den, of David in the wilderness, of Elijah under the broom tree. It is the strength of Jesus in the garden, sweating blood, saying, "Not my will, but yours." That kind of strength doesn't shout. It kneels, it listens, it obeys. And oh, how the world needs men like that. Men who don't just talk about God but walk with him. Men who don't just quote scripture but live it. Men who have been through enough hell to recognize the sound of heaven. Men who have lost everything and found peace. Men who have known loneliness and learned to love from the deepest place. Don't you underestimate a man who's been left alone with God. Don't you assume he is broken. Because in truth, he is more whole than ever. Don't you look at his scars and think him weak. For every scar is a story, and every story is a testimony. That man is a temple. That man is a mountain. That man is a miracle walking. And the fire that tried to consume him, it lit his soul instead. So let him walk on, even if he walks alone. Let him speak, even if no one claps. Let him pray, even if no one hears. Because heaven hears, heaven watches. Heaven knows. For it is in the dark that stars shine brightest. And it is in the wilderness that prophets are born. Yes, when a man has been refined by solitude and held by God, he becomes a light the darkness cannot dim. He becomes a voice the silence cannot mute. He becomes a man the world cannot shake. And that, my dear, is the kind of strength no enemy can stand against. Somewhere between the H of loneliness and the rising of the morning sun, there comes a hush, deep and sacred. It is in that hush, when all the noise of the world has quieted, that a man begins to understand that heaven has not turned its face away. No, heaven has been watching, waiting, weeping when you weep, cheering when you take even one trembling step forward. You may not hear it in the chaos of life, but child, heaven honors the ones who stay faithful in the fire. You see, anybody can praise when the cupboards are full and the love is flowing like honey. Anybody can smile when the money's right, when the doors open, when the names are sweet on people's tongues. But when the music stops, when the feast turns to famine and the table's legs give way, who still lifts their hands? Who still whispers, "Thank you," through tears? That is who heaven honors. There's something divine, something eternal, about a soul that refuses to let God of even when everything else lets go of him. That man, quiet and weary, walking through life with holes in his shoes and hope in his heart, is not forgotten. Oh no, he is favored, he is marked. He is known in the throne room of the Almighty. His name is sung by angels, his tears bottled by God himself. Faithfulness, my dear, is not measured by how many blessings you have. It is measured by how many burdens you carry while still choosing to believe. It is counted in the mornings you got up when your heart was heavy. In the nights you prayed even when you felt like nobody was listening. In the hours you worked with no recognition. In the kindness you gave when bitterness would have been easier. You see, God is not impressed with the performance. He is moved by the persistence, by the widow who gives her last coin, by the prisoner who still sings in chains, by the broken man who still says, "They will be done." And when that kind of faith rises up, raw, ragged, and real, the heavens lean low to honor it. Heaven doesn't throw confetti or make a spectacle of the faithful. No, it anoints them in secret. It wraps them in peace that passes understanding. It gives them a joy that doesn't match their circumstances. It lifts their chin when the world tries to bow their heads in shame. Heaven doesn't always shout, but it surely sees. That man who was left out, looked over, laughed at. He is not unseen. That man who was faithful in the field while others were fighting for the palace. God sees him. He sees the one who stays behind to help the hurting. He sees the one who keeps serving, keeps sowing, keeps showing up, without cameras, without claps. And when heaven sees, heaven responds. Do not be fooled, child, by the quiet. For even in the quiet, heaven is moving. The ones who were forsaken on earth are often the ones most favored in the spirit. The ones overlooked by man are often chosen by God for the highest callings. For God does not choose the mighty. He makes the willing mighty through obedience, through endurance, through faith. You think your pain went unnoticed. You think your silence was in vain. Oh, no, baby. Every tear you cried was caught. Every sigh you released was recorded. And every time you chose love over hate, grace over revenge, faith over fear, God was watching. He was smiling. He was preparing a crown for the man who endures, who walks by faith when he can't even see his next step, who trusts when trust feels like a rope burning through the skin. He becomes a living testimony. He carries the fragrance of fire and the beauty of ashes. He becomes a lighthouse to those still drowning in the sea. Heaven honors him not just with blessings, but with legacy. Not just with rewards, but with purpose. His name may not be in lights, but it is written in the book of life. And that book, my dear, carries more weight than any resume, any title, any earthly treasure. So, when they forget your birthday, when no one calls, when the seats at your table stay empty, remember this: heaven knows. Heaven celebrates you not for your success, but for your surrender. Not for your victories, but for your virtues. Not for your wealth, but for your worship in the wilderness. Let others chase fame and favor from man. Let them gather crowns that rust. You, beloved, keep pressing forward. Keep walking your road. Keep trusting the God who sees. Because when the world forgets your name, heaven builds a monument in your honor. And the glory that awaits the faithful. Oh, it's not just in the next life. No. Sometimes God will prepare a table for you in front of the very ones who walked away. Sometimes He will lift you in due season, not out of revenge, but to reveal His righteousness. Your faith is a seed, and it will bloom when the time is right. Do not grow weary in well-doing. Do not let bitterness rot your roots. Stay grounded in grace. Hold fast to hope. Speak life when death tries to whisper in your ear. Serve anyway. Trust anyway, because heaven honors the forsaken but faithful, the ones who have no chair behind them but still sing, the ones with no audience but still act in righteousness, the ones with no arms around them but still love wide. You are not invisible to the Almighty. You are engraved in His heart. And one day, whether in this world or the next, you will hear Him say, "Well done. Child is the highest honor there is." There is a kind of power, a quiet and holy power, that rises when a man stops chasing shadows. When he lays down the need for recognition, when he steps off the stage and into the sanctuary of solitude, he finds something far more precious than popularity. He finds peace. And child, let me tell you, peace that comes from God is worth more than applause from the world. This world will fool you. It will sell you dreams stitched together with noise. It will tell you to hustle, to strive, to perform until your soul is spent and your smile is fake. It will say, be louder, be seen, be liked. And if you're not careful, you'll wake up one day wearing a mask you forgot how to take off. But when a man has nothing left to prove, when he realizes that the spotlight blinds more than it blesses, he learns to sit with himself, and that sitting, that stillness, becomes sacred. You see, the anointing doesn't come to those who seek the crowd. It falls on those who seek the cross. It's not birthed in the presence of people, but in the presence of God. And it often comes in the quiet. Yes, in the lonely corners of life, where only heaven can see you. The oil flows not when you are celebrated, but when you are surrendered. That man who's been hidden, who's walked through dark valleys and shut doors, who's heard more no than eyes. He may look ordinary to the world, but oh, he's a vessel, a carrier of fire, a keeper of truth. His anointing was born in pain, pressed out in the crushing, poured in the silence. And it doesn't need a pulpit to speak. It doesn't need an audience to shine. It is not for show. It is for service. When a man has no one but God, he stops reaching for approval and starts reaching for purpose. He learns that real calling doesn't require a crowd to confirm it. He doesn't beg to be seen. He doesn't shout to be heard. He doesn't push through doors that were never his. Because he knows that what God has for him cannot be taken, cannot be delayed, cannot be denied. You see, the world hands out validation like it's candy, sweet and cheap, melting before it even touches your spirit. But the Lord, the Lord gives affirmation in whispers that steady the soul. He speaks to the heart in ways no amount of likes or followers ever could. And when you've heard God call your name, when you've heard Him say, "You are mine," you won't need to be called great by men. You'll already know you are beloved by heaven. That man who's been anointed in private will walk with power in public. But don't be fooled. It's not the kind of power that demands, It's the kind that commands by simply being. He doesn't need to boast. His presence carries the echo of prayers prayed in the dark. His steps are laced with obedience. His words, when he speaks, are soaked in grace and fire. He has learned the beauty of silence, the strength in waiting, the wisdom of walking slowly. He has stopped racing toward things that glitter because he has tasted glory. And glory is not loud. It is lasting. Glory doesn't flash. It rests. And on him it rests heavy. Let others chase platforms. Let them scramble for titles. Let them build their kingdoms on sand. The anointed man, he builds on the rock. He builds with trust. Tearth time. And what he builds lasts because it was never about him. It was always about the one who sent him. And oh, how dangerous he becomes. How divinely dangerous, when he no longer needs the world to affirm him, because then he can go where others won't. He can speak truth when it's unpopular. He can love when it hurts. He can forgive when it's unfair. Because he isn't living for the cheers of men. He's living for the crown of righteousness. He's not bitter about the silence anymore. He blesses it. He doesn't mourn the lost friendships or the empty seats. He thanks God for pruning, for shaping, for removing anything that could not carry the weight of his calling. And because he knows who walked away, he also knows who stayed. And that, my child, is the power of being alone with God. You learn who truly matters. A man anointed in the absence of applause becomes a light that the darkness cannot comprehend. He becomes a balm to the broken, a shelter for the lost. He becomes a testimony, not because he has never fallen, but because he got back up, not because he was perfect, but because he was willing to be alone, willing to wait, willing to trust. And when God finds a willing man, he finds a miracle in motion. So don't pity the man who walks without company. Don't assume he's forgotten. That man who sits alone with his Bible and tears, who worships when no one's watching, who walks when no one claps. He is wrapped in glory the world cannot see. He is cloaked in power the world cannot comprehend. He is held, chosen, anointed. And when his time comes, when the Lord says, now, he will rise, not loud, not proud, but full of oil, full of wisdom, full of heaven. Because he didn't spend his waiting season wasting time. He spent it becoming. He didn't use his silence to sulk. He used it to grow. And that growth, born in the dark, is what will sustain him in the light. So if today you find yourself applauded by no one, seen by no one, remembered by no one, take heart, for God is near. And if you stay faithful in the absence of applause, if you keep walking, keep praying, keep becoming, then, child, you are already anointed. And soon enough, the world will see what heaven has known all along.